All right. Hello, everyone. I'm here today with Camilla Blossom. We were just going over her history with the Congress. She first came in 2003. So that's like 19 years this year. It is, yeah, we are elders. It's something that we've had to recognize that we are elders in this
Yeah.
field. Um, and Camilla is teaching one of our immersions. At the Congress, we always have a pre-immersion and a post for people that want to go a little bit deeper on a given topic. So she's doing our pre-Congress immersion on Thursday, and the topic is land healing, clearing historic imprints. So can you give us, I know you have such a broad history working with flower essences and fairies and elementals. How did this workshop topic come about?
Yeah. Thanks, first of all, Lindsay. It's great to connect with you and be with everyone. Um, I had been doing a lot of the work that had come forward um, for me kind of came through the elementals and fairies. They would sort of show up in my life and kind of give me assignments almost like, oh, we're going to hang out with you now. And that's what happened with the flower essences. All the flower fairies and plant spirits came in and said, oh, yeah, you're going to do this work and share it and put it out there. And then I had that experience with the water. And so I was traveling. And that was kind of from the mermaids showing up. So that's sort of how my life has been, these different wonderful spirits kind of guiding me and telling me stuff and taking my hand, let's do this. And so I followed their lead. And when the mermaids and the water work came in, I know I did some like mermaid journeys at the Fairy Congress those years for anyone that was around back then. Um, I also connected with a Native American man and went traveling on behalf of water. And so when I started traveling with him and to all these different lands and leaving my Hood River kind of safe home, I started connecting with many more places and not just the land here. And so we were doing land work as well as honoring the water. And so I was like learning and exploring, and the elementals were teaching, and the dragons were showing up. So there's just a lot of activity to, oh, yeah, let's do more work with land. And what's interesting, it's always been, I know, Lindsay, you can relate, and all of you listening, like for me, it's not just like energetic land clearing or um, doing certain practices that maybe are more traditional shamanic or land energy clearing, but it's always been about relationship my whole life, right? And that's what we do at the Fairy Congress. So it's always like, I call it the Land Council, and that's the group of the beings that I work with, and also at the land where we're working. Um, that's who I like to invite everyone to get connected with, because that's who does the work. It's really not about us in the small way. It's about us in the big way, like standing up to our mastery. But in really doing this big work, which land is, you really need each other. You need all these spirits. I know Lindsay can totally relate because she does this work too. And so yeah, it's been like a process of going to some really funky places, to sacred sites, and like having all these experiences and doing it. And I'm the kind of person that just jumps in, like even if I don't know what the heck I'm doing, I just go ahead. It's, with permission, and if it's mine, and then I learn. And so what I really want to help though is a lot of the hard things I had to learn, especially with land clearing, working with all these energies and funky energies and old imprints and stuff. Like, how can I share some of the experiences to make it easier for us, right? Everything's quickening. It shouldn't have to be so hard. We should know how to be protected, like make it more fun, make it quick, make it a community council where we're working with spirit. So yeah, so that's kind of how I know there's a lot more stories there. I'm actually in the process of writing a book um,
Cool.
about all my experiences and all these different stories of working with these. So
All
that's
right.
coming soon, I hope this
Right.
year. So
Right. All right. And so you said something about the land that the Miller brothers called for this con.
Yeah. It's interesting because I've spent some time there. Well, I was there at the last Congress, but also I've been to Plants and Chants singing live and kind of been different years. And sometimes it's been a little hard to be there. And actually, I've developed different practices from experiences there because the land was so congested and there was an ancestor healing going on. And I just felt like there's something that has to happen, that we need to learn about energetic hygiene with ourselves. And then when we go to places, when we have events. And so I think we're all learning a lot more about that. And so I'm really interested in that. That piece as it relates to land, because I've lived on big retreat centers and worked with that. But what I noticed at Miller Brothers was, well, the trees, which I'll talk a little bit about too, because I'll be presenting on the trees. They're like major, major. I know you can relate. You've been there a bunch. But I was trying to tune in, like, what would be the best and most optimal thing, like now that the land council there and the trees and all of us humans, like, what is it that would benefit the land the most, benefit the people, so we can learn this and do it for the land, which is the clearing of the historical imprints, as well as you can take this and do it on other land in your home. So it just felt like the land there was, yeah, this is what it wanted to look at. Because just to share a little about the clearing historical imprints, it's like land can get imprinted over time, of course, like, burial sites, violence, abuse, arguing energy, warring energy, death energy, like all these different layers, but it can get really like big and complicated. So working with the land council, working intuitively, working with vibrational tools like flower essences, sound, sacred geometry, like we can weave, and all the different skills we all have. It's not just about what I do and how I practice, but I really like to work co-creatively with the humans too, and what ways you work. So the clearing these land imprints is a process I kind of came up with to help kind of identify and work, spiritually and energetically to free up the land and the land deva and the guardians. And like, it's sort of like a healing of the elementals, as well as, how do we see, and it's not like fixing, improving, changing. I'm not into that old style, like we're healing it. I'm much more into, we're creating a sacred space for what wants to happen in order for the land to come into its full purpose and resonance.
Yeah,
So
that sounds exciting.
yeah, and I'm excited. You had mentioned you'd be there, so I'm like, yay!
Yeah.
Like other land healers can bring. I'm sure you'll
Mhm.
bring your magic and ideas to it.
Right. All right.
So,
Yeah, that's going to be wonderful. Because also, I can relate because I just moved to this piece of property that uh, has a funky history. So, yeah, it's
yeah, and
uh,
it's kind of how we make amends too, right? We were
yeah,
mentioning that when we were chatting before. Like,
yeah.
there's so much amends to the indigenous,
Mm-hmm.
to um, what's just happened to the people or the animals or the places, with lack of consciousness, with colonialism, with distortions. And
Yeah.
so it's sort of like a microcosm of a macrocosm to be. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how I see, and for, I'm sure you can relate to this, like how we can work in a certain area, and by working and allowing, like you would on a person, like allowing that land and that place to shine and like open and shed, and be its radiance, then it really, it goes out all
Yeah.
over, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm sure you were called to, the land
Yeah.
council there called you because they knew you could do
Yeah.
good work
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. We're chatting lately. What's what are we doing? So,
Yeah.
and then, yeah, during the Congress, you're going to do a
Mhm.
workshop on the mother trees, and there are some gorgeous trees on that.
Yeah. And this kind of came about too, because talking about that kind of energetic hygiene thing, like one of the things, and this has come with my work doing land alchemy and land energy healing, clearing for people on their lands, is it kept coming in that it's really nice to have like a central location, like a center altar or tree. And so I've been calling them mother trees, and they're not always like the feminine nurturing trees, but having that center or grandmother, that center um, guardian or ancestor that we can circle the land and the event and what's going on, and our intentions, our prayers, our asking permissions, and making offerings. Like when you create that kind of place. And so my idea for working with the mother trees is there is a tree there that I really want to work with. It's that huge big leaf maple
Hmm.
that's in the main meadow that we hang out in. And it's called me for a while, but it just hasn't been time or the place. And all of a sudden, this opportunity, oh my gosh, this is great. Because like the workshop I do can kind of start that process.
Hmm.
And then we can work with or tune into that tree and talk to it and work with it. And then talk about, oh, there are other trees. There's another one too, another big leaf maple over in the camping area that came through me really strongly during one of the Jan's workshops a couple of years ago. And so there's just this ability for trees to help us do the land work, because
Hmm.
they can be the conduits,
Hmm.
they can be containers, they can do work for us with the land council.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, they are, there's so much they can do to hold that they already do, but they're like, we can recognize and
Hmm.
work with them. And it's kind of like a way, I'm curious about your land. Like, are there certain trees there? Like, there's such a great centering
Hmm.
for the energy. Like, I had people in Hawaii and I located their mother tree, grandmother, grandfather tree, whatever. And I heard from him years later, like, oh my God, that was such an amazing thing. It's like created a for their
Hmm.
community to
Yeah.
have that location.
Hmm.
So
Cool.
so we'll explore like how you find them, what they are,
Hmm.
talk to the trees. Yeah, we'll kind of see what they want us to do. I think that's more it, right? Like
Right. Yeah.
I was like, what am I going to do there? And then I write
Yeah.
it down or I get these ideas. I'm like, okay, like it's probably going to change, but you know, the
Yeah.
basic idea that they want to play.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. Great to work co-creatively.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, we hope you all can join us. Fairy Congress in person in July. It's the 21st through the 25th, Thursday through Monday. The main event is Friday through Sunday, but again, there's events Thursday night, and Monday morning. So, yeah, we look forward to
Yeah.
another lovely year. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.